Samsung engineers pasted secret code into ChatGPT 3 times in 20 days. Then the real problem began.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating, honestly almost unbelievable chain of events that totally rocked one of the biggest tech giants on the planet. I mean, picture this. It's early 2023, and Samsung, the company that literally builds the hardware for our digital lives, they do something they thought was super forward-thinking. They decided to let their engineers use ChatGPT to optimize algorithms and debug code. Sounds like the ultimate productivity hack, right? But instead, they accidentally handed over their most closely guarded intellectual property directly to an external AI model.
Okay, let's dive into this because the sheer speed of this disaster, it's just staggering. 20 days. That is the exact incredibly short window it took for a massive corporate crisis to completely unfold. Just 20 days from the moment the floodgates were opened to the exact moment highly sensitive corporate secrets were irreversibly leaked. The dramatic irony here is pretty heavy. See, when ChatGPT launched back in November 2022, Samsung actually banned it right out of the gate, citing some pretty severe security concerns. But, as the months ticked by, the competitive pressure to innovate and adopt this new AI-assisted productivity just became way too much to ignore. So, on March 11, 2023, Samsung made a fateful decision. They lifted the ban specifically for their Device Solutions division. Now, this is the very team responsible for their highly sensitive semiconductor and display technologies. So, the ban designed to prevent a disaster was actually removed, setting the stage for, well, exactly that. It really was a ticking clock. From the global launch of ChatGPT in late 2022 to lifting that internal ban on March 11th, it was just a straight, rapid slide into chaos. By April 2023, literally just a matter of weeks later, Samsung was dealing with 3 separate catastrophic data leaks. Their rush to embrace the future led them straight into an absolute nightmare.
Section 2, the 3 strikes of April 2023. Let's see how quickly things unraveled once those floodgates opened. Once employees got the green light, they dove in head first. Which brings us to strike 1. You can call it the semiconductor slip. An engineer was staring at some buggy source code pulled straight from a highly sensitive semiconductor database. Wanting a quick fix, they copied the proprietary algorithms, literally the very math used to measure semiconductor equipment, pasted it directly into ChatGPT, and simply typed, "Fix this." And you know what? The AI did its job beautifully. The engineer got their solution. But at the exact same time, OpenAI absorbed Samsung's intellectual property right into its servers. Then, strike 2 hit just as hard. Another employee needed to optimize code used for identifying defects in Samsung's manufacturing equipment. And once again, that entire code block went straight into the chatbot. Guys, I cannot overstate how critical this is. This wasn't just some generic script for a website. This was the absolute algorithmic DNA of Samsung's quality control systems, the exact logic they use to ensure their chips are flawless. Yeah, it was just freely handed over to a third-party server. And then, oh boy, we have strike 3. Incredibly, an employee took a smartphone recording of a highly confidential internal meeting. First, they converted the audio to text using another AI tool called Naverclova. Then, they took that entire highly sensitive transcript and fed it into ChatGPT to generate a summary and meeting minutes. Just like that, internal strategy, competitive roadmaps, and confidential discussions were tossed straight into the vast ocean of ChatGPT's training data. Moving on to Section 3, the technical autopsy. We really need to break down exactly why this is such a nightmare by looking at the underlying technical reality of large language models. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact threat here. Cybersecurity experts call this a conversational AI leak. See, when you use the web interface for these tools, your input data doesn't just, disappear when you close the tab. Per standard policies at the time, that data is used to train and improve the model. This means data ingestion is a one-way street. Once you hit enter, that proprietary data is permanently integrated into the neural network's knowledge base. There is absolutely no delete button. That code could theoretically surface in a response to one of Samsung's competitors if they just ask the right questions. 65%. Let that massive number hang in the air for a second. Back in April 2023, right as these leaks were happening, an internal survey at Samsung revealed that 65% of their own employees already believed ChatGPT posed a serious security threat. So the workforce knew the risks,
But the allure of an instant solution to a complex coding problem was simply too strong to resist. The barn door realization arrived just as the horses were already galloping off into the sunset. It's actually really fascinating to compare Samsung's immediate panic responses in May 2023. On one side, you have the policy approach, company-wide temporary bans on all generative AI, strongly worded memos, and threats of disciplinary action. But on the other side, we have the actual solution, technical controls. Samsung had to implement a hard 1,024-byte limit on prompts just to physically stop engineers from pasting massive blocks of code. Because, as this whole incident proves, hard technical limitations will always trump strongly worded memos when pure convenience is on the line. Section 4. The plot twist and a broader crisis. Because we have to ask, was this AI leak just a localized problem for Samsung, or a symptom of a much, much wider global enterprise crisis? Well, it turns out AI wasn't the only leak. To really understand the scale, we have to look at Samsung's broader security posture, because the company was already under siege. A year prior, in March 2022, the Lapsus ransomware group breached Samsung, leaking an astonishing 190 gigabytes of confidential data. We're talking bootloader source code and biometric unlock algorithms. And fast forward to 2025, a threat actor known as GHNA used dormant stolen credentials to breach a third-party ticketing system, which exposed 270,000 customer support tickets online. So this AI leak, it was happening against a backdrop of severe traditional cybersecurity failures. And the industry definitely knew it. The global ripple effect here was immediate. Wall Street absolutely panicked. Heavyweights like JPMorgan Chase, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America, they all immediately implemented strict bans or heavy restrictions on ChatGPT in early 2023. They viewed these public-facing AI tools as a massive third-party risk. And closer to home in South Korea, tech competitors like LG and SK Hynix scrambled to block chatbot use on their internal networks. The fear of inadvertent data sharing basically became a global enterprise emergency overnight. Which brings us to Section 5, the counterstrike, Samsung Gauss. Because instead of just trying to ban the future, Samsung decided to build their own structural solution, aptly named after the mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss. Samsung realized something crucial. You cannot simply ban the future. Shadow AI is a very real thing. If you ban a tool, employees are just going to use it secretly on their phones anyway. So Samsung executed this brilliant hero move. They built their own internal solution. If we look at the evolution, in just 7 months, they launched Gauss 1, featuring specialized models for language, code, and images. And by November 2024, they rolled out Gauss 2 with compact, balanced, and supreme models, processing speeds up to 3 times faster than open-source alternatives. But here's the absolute game changer. Samsung Gauss could run in an on-device mode. The data never had to leave Samsung's physical hardware, and the whole shebang was constantly monitored by a dedicated internal AI red team to ensure strict privacy. So the crucial point is adoption, right? Did it actually work? Absolutely it did. Since its launch, the internal coding assistant, known as Code.ai, has seen just massive uptake. Today, approximately 60% of all software developers in Samsung's DX division are using it. By providing a secure, internal alternative that was just as capable as the external tools, Samsung successfully brought their engineers' workflows right out of the shadows and safely back under the umbrella of corporate security. Finally, Section 6, Lessons for the AI Era. Let's zoom out and look at the permanent, bottom-line takeaways from all this. Specifically, why traditional inside-out security models are failing us now. For decades, traditional enterprise security relied on an inside-out model, basically building giant firewalls to keep bad actors out. But that model completely falls apart when trusted employees willingly exfiltrate sensitive data just to use a helpful new tool. And that brings us to the terrifying reality of context collapse. When you put information into a public LLM, it stays there, period. It's permanent. Even if OpenAI actively wanted to help Samsung, surgically removing specific data from a fully trained neural network of trillions of parameters is near impossible with current technology. Fragments of Samsung's proprietary semiconductor genius, their strategic meeting notes, and their algorithmic DNA now live on forever. They are permanently encrypted in the algebra of machine learning, forever beyond the reach of any delete button. Which leaves us with this final thought to really chew on. The technology is advancing so much faster than our policies can keep up with. So I have to ask you, are we genuinely ready for an AI-assisted workforce? Or are we blindly building productivity tools that inherently double as the ultimate corporate espionage infrastructure?
It's a huge question, and it's one every organization is going to have to answer, and soon. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.